with the co-owner to learn more about this expansion. Michael, good morning again. What can we learn?
Good morning again, Mandy. Good morning again, Tia. So we're going to learn quite a few things. We're going to learn a little bit about some new faces to the Escanaba area and, of course, the new office. Now, I have Rob joining me, jumping right in this morning. You're the co-owner. What has been the background behind this expansion? Because you have offices in Marquette and Houghton.
Yeah, we started with an office in Marquette in the early 2000s, about 2001. My dad started that business there, and I started working there a few years after that. And then about 10 years ago, 12 years ago in that range, we started an office in Houghton, and Josh Stein runs that for us. And then we'd always kind of look for other locations to open up a new branch, take in some more agents, help us cover different areas of the UP. And recently, within about the last year and a half, started talking to Tim and Tina. They were looking for something a little bit different. We kind of had a similar business mindset and worked on a lot of similar property types, and the fit just seemed to make a lot of sense. So we sort of rolled that in the opportunity of being able to start something in Escanaba and have them service this area for us.
Now, you mentioned different property types. That's a key word there. It's not just land, and I'm sure as many of the hunters are now having their ears perk up, but what are some other things that the land broker, Northern Michigan land brokers, also cover?
We do a full suite of real estate services, so we work on all property types. We have some agents that do primarily residential, some people that do a little bit more commercial. All of us tend to work with properties that have acreage, whether it's vacant land or it's waterfront or cottages on lakes, things like that. We tend to skew a little bit more towards those property types, but certainly not just based off of land. A couple of us do primarily that, and we do that across the UP. So that brings us in a lot of different areas as well, that rather than just sticking to one particular market, we roam quite a bit from any given location. We cover a wide swath all the way across the UP.
Now, there are some new faces that have come with this Escanaba location, one of them being AJ as well. Now, being that you've brought him on, could you give us a little bit of idea of AJ's role, and then we'll ask AJ a few questions as well.
Sure. AJ started with us almost 2 years ago now. Kind of started just as a marketing consultant because that's his background, and we needed some help with kind of bringing us into the modern days of social media times and helping all of our agents on a more generalized level. And then more recently, he got a real estate license, and so he's going to start expanding into some of those types of activities as well.
Now, AJ, this is, of course, some new adventures for you as well, as you're just recently working on getting licensed. What is some of the roles that you play? And now that this Escanaba location is open, what does that mean for your position here as well?
Yeah, so like I said, or like Rob said, I started with marketing about 2 years ago. I would say that, my biggest role, I would say, still is kind of marketing. It's about 50-50. There's kind of two different buckets that I'm filling. Obviously, marketing is kind of a never-ending job. And since expanding into Escanaba, there is more, that comes with that. And I've been helping Tim and Tina, all of our agents generally, with marketing. But, I'm excited to be able to kind of expand into the more of the real estate side of things, too.
Absolutely. Well, coming up in our next segment, we're going to keep this conversation rolling. We're actually going to meet Tim and Tina, and who are some of those newer faces, of course, to Escanaba, and maybe get a little bit of inside advice as well for those people who might be a little interested about this Escanaba area. So that's all coming up in just a few minutes. Still want to stick around. It's back to you in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Michael. We'll check back in with you in 30 minutes. Turning our attention to the weather now, Jennifer, it's finally feeling like summertime.
It is, and it will feel that way for quite a while, but today we're timing out some rain showers after the break.